After Arthur was one of the leaders of the National Union of Mine Workers and is now a Labour MP in Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet, recently said in a speech in Parliament that no union has been attacked more since the NUM than PCS. And he pointed out, as the former leader of the miners, that the efforts made to remove PCS from the trade union map, attack our members, have been unprecedented in recent history. Our members have had 11 years of pay restraint, 180,000 job cuts, pensions, pay more, work longer, get less, redundancy payments slashed in 2010. Now the Tories tell us they want to slash them further. We're facing office closures on a massive scale, 130 HMRC offices. In Biz, 91 offices out of 94 to shut, including Biz's headquarters in Sheffield. So much for the Northern powerhouse. The jobs are all being relocated back to London. So this government saw our union and our members and have attempted to make them pay the price of austerity. Then came the removal of check-off as a means to pay our union subs, when 94% of PCS members paid their union dues directly from their salary, a clear effort to cripple the union financially. Well, do you know what? We're still standing. We got through it. In February, we saw our first membership rise in any month for 5 years. We have more activists than ever before, and we've started now to see the beginning of the tide turn and actually start winning some strikes. The National Gallery. The last time I was in this room, Candy Edwin, lead PCS steward, had been sacked for organising a strike, reinstated after 101 days of all-out strike action, and led our members back to work. In the Scottish Museums, a 3-year dispute escalated in the run-up to the Scottish election over pay cuts for low-paid workers. £1 million put on the table by the SNP government to stop a strike before the Scottish election, and our members have made a settlement and gone back to work. So we're beginning to see, through organisation and industrial action, that we can win. But I also want to say to you that we've got loads of battles ahead, and it's really fitting that Arthur is here today, who will no doubt talk about the miners' strike. Because on Thursday of this week, our members in the Welsh Museum started an all-out indefinite strike against 15% pay cuts for workers, some of whom are paid £10,000 a year as cleaners for the Welsh Museums. All unsocial hours payments scrapped, people who work 37 weekends in a year expected to pay without financial compensation. So do you know what? They started an all-out indefinite strike. And I'm pleased to tell you, Arthur, that 15 of those members were former members of the National Union of Mine Workers. Every one of them out on strike for the South Wales NUM for the duration of the great 1984-85 strike, and now they are our members who work in the big pit in South Wales, who still go underground, who still wear the orange uniforms, who not only are on all-out indefinite strike, but I have to say have inspired all the other PCS members to join them, and it's a strike we are determined to win. Now that leads me on very quickly to the other big dispute at the moment, which is the BMA. And I want to conclude by the lessons I hope we can all draw to ensure that doctors can win their strike, and all of us across the public sector and elsewhere can begin to see some victories rather than see employers go on the offensive. The BMA dispute is one of the most important in recent times. Isn't it something that it's a non-TUC affiliate that is showing everybody else the type of militant action that is required in order to stop the government and its tracks. And you know what? At the TUC General Council on Wednesday, I'm sure Matt will mention it, PCS and the FBU formally proposed that the TUC call a National Day of Action in support of the enough, not only was that not agreed, but half the room attacked us for making the proposal. Now that tells us a lot about the state the movement is in at the moment. I can tell you from personal experience why it's essential not only do the junior doctors win, but we nail the lies that are coming from the Tory government. I'm waiting for a heart transplant. This machine that keeps me alive dangling around my neck powers an artificial heart put in by surgeons and doctors and nurses that kept me alive in a life-saving operation. And do you know what? After my surgery, I was in hospital for 13 weeks. And do you know something? That 13 weeks included Saturdays and Sundays. And do you think, on a Friday, the nurse came round and said, sorry, Mr. Serwotka, we're turning the lights off now. You're going to have to feed yourself tomorrow and Sunday. And if you need a pill, look it up on Google. Of course they didn't. I had the same care on a Saturday and Sunday, brilliant care, from people who are underappreciated by filthy Tory politicians that I had on a Monday to Friday. So we know the government is lying. And we know the doctors need to win their dispute. And while I'm at it, let's make one other connection. When I had my operation, the surgeon who operated on me was from China. My cardiologist was from India. My junior doctor was from Croatia. And when I came round off the morphine, I tell you what I thought. Thank God these migrants came to this country. And thank God living in the squalor of Calais, people who are desperate to come to this country and start a new life. Perhaps we should be saying louder, who's to say the next heart surgeon, nurse, teacher, professor isn't now living in squalor, who are desperate for a new life, and it's time we show them more compassion. I want to wrap all this up with a certain thought that hopefully other speakers can also comment on and you can take back to your workplaces and discuss. If we've got the biggest assault on working people that we have seen in generations, if we've got a government ideologically committed to destroying the trade union movement, a government that is determined to make those who have the least pay the price for the folly of those at the top, we have to start realising that the trade union movement in the last 5 years has not been up to the mark in terms of challenging what the government is doing. Up to the mark, not the shop stewards in the hospitals and colleges and car plants. It's the leaders of our movement who are not prepared to call the action that we require. If teachers are striking to stop forced academisation to defend their terms and conditions, doctors are striking, civil servants have to strike to defend their redundancy payments, if local government workers are having their jobs slashed, if people in education are having their pay cut, isn't it obvious if we all strike together we can stop the Tories in their trouble and we can change the climate? My last point is this: if it's that obvious to us, if it's that obvious in every meeting that I ever go around and address the length and breadth of the UK, why isn't it obvious to our fellow leaders? Well, I'll let you in on a private conversation that I'm about to make public. During the pension strike in 2011, the General Secretary of the TUC, Brendan Barber, who this week signed a joint letter with David Cameron talking about workers' rights that should make all of our stomachs turn, said to me, when I was arguing about coordinated action over pensions, Mark, you just don't get it. He said, since the miners were defeated in 1984, there is no prospect that industrial action can ever stop a government from implementing its policies. Now, if that is the leadership, the then leadership of the TUC, if that demoralisation infects those people who really should know better, it explains why we do not see the action that most rank and file stewards and members see as obvious. So we have got to say, we have got to make the argument that we are prepared to argue and strike and campaign together. And I hope, therefore, that if you're in Unison, or PCS, or the GMB, the NUT, Unite, or whatever union you are, we all go back to our workplaces and we say this: is austerity fair? No. Who's paying the price? Us. Is it time we did something about it? Yes. Let's come together, unite in our struggles, ensure the junior doctors win, the teachers win, and all of us can stand together, defeat the government, support Jeremy Corbyn, who wants to see a different type of Britain, and then all of us will say, the 2016 was the time the tide turned. The time we had politicians on the Labour front bench who actually supported strikes rather than condemned strikes, a trade union movement that finally found its confidence, and all of us come together and we can look back and say, this was the year it changed, or if we do nothing, we will remember this as a further year of demoralisation and further cuts. I know what I'd rather see, I know what you would rather see. Let's stick together, make it happen, support the doctors in the here and now, and let's ensure we stop the government in its tracks and get rid of Cameron and all the cronies.